What is up, everybody? And what a great weekend to be Philly sports fans. Teams just keep winning in this town, and I don't know if I can ever get used to it. I'm not used to it at all. But your Philadelphia Eagles are 6-0 going into the bye week. Game a little touchy at points. Looked like in the beginning because I know Matty B's with me tonight from Talking Philly Sports with Matty B, and he got to do the halftime show with Freddie Burns, and that tale of two games. We'll get to that in a second. Joey Marks from the Pallets Nav. Boys, thank you for joining me tonight. This is your post-game show presented by Edge of Philly Sports and the Painted Lines. Um, we have a lot to unpack here. I'm going to try to do this because I know it's late for everybody, but I know we all are so hyped right now. And, I'll have to I usually don't give Chris Collinsworth or any of those guys any due, but the fact that he gave Eagles fans a lot of credit for having any energy left after what they've been doing to the point that you're shaking concrete and steel at Citizens Bank Park and bringing it here to Lincoln Financial Field. So, big win. Could have been prettier, but it's still a win nonetheless. We're 6-0. First reactions, Joey Marks, take it from there.
Um, look. The first half they smacked the Cowboys in the face, which is what I thought was going to happen from the gate. I felt like they eliminated the run, and that forced Cooper Rush to be a quarterback, which he's not. Um, then I felt like Shane Steichen and maybe even Jonathan Gannon took the foot off the gas in the third quarter coming out of halftime. And they began to kind of curl into their hole, which they've done a couple different times this season so far. And they almost got burned by it. And, if it wasn't for a couple good defensive plays and a really good offensive drive by Jalen Hurts in the fourth quarter, this game could have gotten a lot uglier towards the end, if not possibly could have resulted in a loss. And so if you're an Eagles fan, you definitely take the win. And I would definitely say that they got away with one, but initially their game plan worked. I just think that you're starting to see the maturity in these coaches, because within maturity comes adjustment. And it took a little longer for that adjustment to happen. So hopefully this is just growth.
All right, Matty B. Like I said, you did the halftime show with Freddie Burns, which this game looked really different. It looks like the Eagles were in a driver's seat, and Dallas didn't have a place in the stadium. Things changed in the third, especially. What are your first reactions, or I guess this time second reactions?
So, like I talked about Freddie at halftime, it was a very uneasy 20-3 lead. It just seemed like we should have been up more because we had kind of left some opportunities on the field. And then we get into the second half, and I remember telling Freddie, we got to take that opening drive and we got to put this game away. They were unable to do that. Matter of fact, they were unable to do much of anything offensively in the second half. A thing that's become a trend in 2022, just 6 points this half, which now brings the grand total to 35 second half points for the season, which is averaging out about 5.5 points a game, or I should say 5.5 points a second half. Boys, we can't live like that. You're not going to win a Super Bowl scoring 5.5 points in the second half every week. That is not going to happen. This team is vicariously living on the edge of that, and maybe it's the competition that they're facing. I don't know. I'm not happy with the tale of two halves about this football team. They're a different half in second half. They're a different team in second halves. It is a dub. I take that 6-0. That's great. But listen, going forward, you got to clean that up.
No, absolutely. And my question to you guys is this Jonathan Gannon? Is he taking his foot off the gas? Is this Shane Steichen? Is he calling more conservative plays? Um, or is it overall just the team seems to become complacent when they come out to a very fast first second half?
I
After,
want I want to first answer one of the thing your question, Al, but also kind of respond to what Matty B is saying. And I don't disagree with that microcosm of a stat. But if I had to put my own microcosm of a stat out there, the Eagles scored 112 points in one quarter for the first 6 games of this year, which has never been done in NFL history. It's the highest point total and the highest differential ever put in one quarter. Not necessarily just the second quarter, but what a team can do in one quarter. I'm not saying you have to play one quarter and that's it, but I'm saying if you play well enough, you can then alter your and adapt your scheme. Now I'm going to get to Al's question. I do feel like it was a bit of a combination of both. I feel like Steichen took his foot off the gas because you saw the Dallas Cowboys adjust to Jordan Davis, and they adjusted by double teaming him. And Gannon never adjusted from that. If someone on your defense is being double teamed, that means someone is wide open. That means someone's not being guarded, which means Gannon is not putting that person in the right position to make plays. I also feel like Steichen went into this ball, and this is where I agree a little bit with Maddie, in the sense that it's not good enough that you play one good quarter, but you have to establish yourself throughout the game. And I don't think Steichen has put a four-quarter game together as the offensive coordinator for this team.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: is another goose egg in the third quarter. It's one thing not to score a lot of points, Matty B, in the second half, and to be maybe a little bit more conservative, keep the big plays down to a minimum where you get less mistakes. I mean, listen, the difference was turnovers. Dallas had 3, we had 0. That's a big difference in this game. I think Joe Sullivan just said it recently here. If that was a healthy Dak Prescott, this game could have been looking a lot different. And I agree with that. But it's these big goose eggs where you put no more pressure on them. Even getting 6 points, just getting up 2 field goals in the third, something. It's this coming out, conservative in the second half that continues to boggle my mind. And it's listen. I feel like it's weird that we're going to sit here and bitch and moan after the weekend that we as Philly sports fans have. But like you said, Matty B, it's something that we got to worry about down in the future. What happens if this team is down in the second half? What if we're not? What if we're not up 20 points? Because this is the thing: is if we lost this game and we were up 20 points, it wouldn't just be okay. We're 5-1. We lost to Dallas. That sucks. But we're 5-1. No, we lost a 20-point deficit, and your power rankings in your head of your team start to dwindle a little bit. But real quick, I want to mention, guys, that this post-game show and all our Eagles game day coverage is brought to you by David R. Cherry, because David Cherry is the man when it comes to it, when it comes down to all your legal needs. Dave Cherry's at 610-565-0300, workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law, cherryinjurylaw.com. Tell Dave Cherry that EOP and the Painted Lines sent you, because getting some trouble, and it looked like there was some scrappiness happening on the field. Maybe Jason Kelsey and a couple of the Dallas Cowboys, they might have needed a little bit of David R. Cherry at that point at the end. But we'll get to that in a moment. So let's just go. I want real quick. I want to run through some of this stuff. Here's your stat lines tonight. Jalen Hurts was 15 for 25 with 155 yards and 2 TDs. Yards wise, it's not super impressive, but they established the run game in the beginning. Lost it for a little bit into the third and maybe halfway through the fourth quarter, but they found it again, which was a good thing. Which we have Miles Sanders, he had 71 yards, a TD, and then Jalen Hurts, he only had 9 carries, which is still a lot in my eyes, but he still had 9 carries. Kenneth Gainwell was 5 carries for 25 yards, and Boston Scott had a little work in tonight, but I think looking at your receivers we even had Jack Stoll sighting early in the game. He got a 121-yard catch, which was nice to see. But A.J. Brown was 5 for 67, 1 TD. Devontae Smith was 5 for 44 with a TD. And Dallas Goedert was just 2 for 22. And Dallas Goedert had another big drop again. Is this becoming a habit with Dallas Goedert? I mean, luckily nothing had dropped that has cost us a game, but key drops and key moments. Matty B, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we've talked about this before. He's got the drops. He's at times. He also puts the ball on the field too. There was a couple drive killers. They were the one early in the game when they were driving, and he had that the ball that was tipped. He should have still made that catch. I know it was deflected at the line, but that was right in his hands. These are drive killers. You get the big money to make those types of plays, and it kind of goes back to my Freddie Burns comment at halftime that even though we were up 20-3 and dominating, it just seemed like we left a lot of points left out on the field, and obviously it sets up these types of situations in second halves.
I mean, do you think there's anything to the game? I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm just saying, do you think they come out lighter? Because, I mean, if you look at the second half of this game, I mean, I'm sorry, this second half of the second half, so you look at the fourth quarter, especially towards the middle, the end of the fourth quarter, they were getting pressure. Now, was it Dallas pressing themselves because they were down two-score game and they had to make up some grounding quickly? And the big name on the chat right now is CJGJ or Gardner Johnson. I'm not going to call him that because that's just too much of a mouthful. But Gardner Johnson, he had 2 picks. He was out for a good portion of the game with what looked like to be a wrist or hand injury. They brought him back. They said they didn't do X-rays. I don't know if that ended up happening later or not. But they had him taped up, and obviously he was good enough to keep playing and good enough to get a nice pick in there. Which, by the way, I'm going to give the assist to Brandon Graham with a big hit because, as they showed on the replay, that could have been a much different play if it wasn't for BG's timely hit on Cooper Rush, who was trying to pretend like BG hit him in the face, which obviously he didn't. So let's look at this. So this might be 2 different grades. You might have to find an average here because your grades could be different from one part of the game to the other. But Matty B, I'm going to start with you. Let's grade the offense of the Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm going to give him a C minus. I gave him an A in the first half. I'm going to give him a D in the second. C minus.
Joey Marks.
I'm going to go with a very similar, a total of a B minus. I'm going to go A plus in the first half and a C plus in the second half because I felt like they could have rolled over and died. We've seen that time after time again. In Eagles history, especially in NFC East history, the Eagles could have rolled over and died, and they didn't. They showed a lot of resilience and a lot of fortitude within their offensive scheme, especially in the second half. So I give them a C plus, but B minus total.
Yeah, I'm going to go with overall average it out. I'm looking at B minus to a C. In that range. I don't know. It definitely was an A in the first. I don't know if I would go as low as a D. Maybe a D if you're looking at the third quarter by itself. But it was definitely a C minus. So yeah, a C would be overall if you're averaging this out over the time because of just the lackadaisical. And I don't know if that's on Shane Steichen for the play calling, for him not being able to adjust on the fly or adjust quick enough, I should say, if that plays it. I was going to leave this one alone because this was in our personal chat of the EOP chat during the game. But Dave Yarnold from the Patterson FNX, Joe Marks, you know very well, who is they call him Cowboy Dave for a reason because he's a dork. But ultimately, he's upset about the penalty for flexing. Blows his mind. So, Dave, let's break this down for a second. The penalty's stupid. I will give you that. But the penalty's the penalty, all right? Just like if they said if the law's out there, you know what the law is. He didn't just flex; he flexed in his face and he ran his mouth in his face. You don't do that. You get up and flex, and you maybe run your mouth. Not as long as you're not in his face. That's not a penalty. But he got called for something that is maybe we'll agree with that. It's not a cool whatever. It's football. You're gonna have this aggression if he's in his face and he's yelling at him, but. It is what it is, and you get called for that. There was 2 stupid Cowboys penalties that really probably set them further back. Mm-hmm. That one being one of them, because, like I said, even if you don't agree with the reasoning, it's still a rule. You know it's a rule, and you had a big moment, and you blew it by doing something stupid. And then the other one was Diggs ripping his helmet off and slamming it down after that last touchdown from the Eagles, which. We'll talk about that moment now. Here's another questionable moment. I'm guessing this is Nick Sirianni. So they score the second touchdown. It looks like I was going to be close to my prediction. I had them at 24-14. It looked like it was going to be 27-17. Ended up, of course, the final score of 26-17 because of that moment. They said they gave him the choice, and he opted to go put it on the 1 yard line. They didn't stack the lineup like they normally do with a rugby style scrum and push it in. They ultimately tried throwing some trickery in there. It blew up in their face, and it turned into a 9 point deficit instead of a 10 point deficit, which thank God didn't come back to bite us in the ass. I mean, if they pulled it off, I don't even know if I'd still agree with it then. But what are your thoughts on it, Matty B? I'll start with you.
Well, my thoughts on the penalty or the decision making to go for two there. What's the
The
question?
decision after the penalty.
Yeah, it's this guy trying to smell himself at times and be the smartest coach in the room. Gee, I wonder where he got that from. But I think you go for the 1 point there. You don't mess around with the 2 points. You're right. It could have come back and bit us on the ass, but it didn't. But you go for the 1 point. We're making this game too complicated at times. And yeah, I did not agree with that decision either.
I see now on my side, Al, with that conversation with Dave, I actually responded to Dave on the chat saying, listen, it's not considered flexing, it's considered taunt. That's what the rule is called. It's called taunting. And it's been there and it's been reviewed and it's been put in conferences. It's been, talked to players, by officials for years now. And it's an honest to God easy thing to to avoid. It's if you don't want to get called for taunting, walk away and do whatever you want to do then. Walk away, turn your back to the player and walk away and do whatever you want to do. You can flex to the crowd, you can tell them to shh, you can whatever you want to do. That is perfectly legal. But when you are taunting over another player, that is considered illegal. That has always been the rule. So, like I said to Dave on the text, it's the rule. You may not like it, but it's the rule.
Listen, you're right. That's my thought on it too. If it's a stupid rule in your head, fine. If they said the rule is in the NFL, you can't wear yellow shoelaces, then
right.
you can't wear yellow shoelaces. Then if you wear yellow shoelaces, prepare to be getting in trouble for it. That's just the way it is. That's their rules.
And
listen, if that was vice versa, if any of the Eagles were in one of the Cowboys' faces and they got called for it, he would gladly take it. And it is what it is. And it was stupid. And that's what makes that even dumber. Listen, the Diggs one was I took my helmet off and I threw it down. I was mad. I was angry.
Right.
The other one was taunting, and you have one big play and you're losing. That to me is stupid. Who taunts when you're losing?
I completely agree. And to kind of chime into that, the penalty with Diggs, that's another one where it's like, you're not supposed to remove your helmet on the field of play. That's an obvious one. That shouldn't need to be said. You lost your cool. Now you got to pay for it. With the regards to Sirianni and Steichen and going for it and trying to go for two, I like it. And I'll tell you two reasons why. Number one, because it puts them up 11, which almost puts a stranglehold on the game. Because now it's not a field goal and a touchdown. It's maybe a touchdown and a field goal and a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. And the percentages dynamically go down for the Cowboys to come back. Now, to go into Steichen's play call for that 2-point conversion, I can't believe I say this because I never agree with him. But Collinsworth made a point saying, even if you were lining up to go into the scrum, into the rugby scrum, but faked it or did, you had some versatility because Van Der Esch on one of the plays prior cheated up and did a Troy Polamalu. And that, by the way, that's illegal too, because you can't lunge at a player anymore. But the idea that Van Der Esch did that a couple plays prior, my feeling is I agree with Collinsworth. You line up and you see what you can work with. Maybe play action. Maybe you fake it as you're going in and you do a little bubble screen. If everyone's cheating in, no one's going to be looking over at the receiver. That's just my takeaway. But
Like I said, I agree with you. I agree with you to a point. Like I'm okay to a point with trying to go for the two. In my eyes, you should have just taken the one, be a little bit more secure. But if you're going to go for the two, they haven't beat the scrum yet on the 1 yard line. Why would you change it? That's if it ain't broke, don't fix it type situation.
right.
But Matty B, I'm going to start with you on the next question. Is all right. We gave our grades for the Eagles offense. Let's talk Eagles defense. What's your overall grade there?
Well, I got to kind of go to Michael's comment down there in the chat. We got 15 now total turnovers for the season in 6 games. It's amazing. This is a
Did we have like one or like
Yeah.
didn't we have like two or something like this point last year?
we had 3 at this point last year. Our first
Yeah.
interception came in week 4. I know that, but
Yeah.
no, it's amazing. It's amazing what this defense is doing with the personnel that we have and how they're playing. Unfortunately, though, for me, I think they're not being like fully unlocked into their full potential. But maybe we'll figure that out as we move through the season. But how can you not give this defense anything more than an A? They had that one issue in the third quarter where Dallas kind of controlled the ball for about 8 minutes, which was the majority of the quarter. But other than that, it was pretty much the Eagle defense dictating to the Cowboy offense, not the other way around. And that's what you want. And you want your offense, your defense to be like that. Are they getting enough push up front? Not consistently. They are not. But that's something you can work on. But where they're making up for that is in their ability to take the ball away. And so I'll take that any day of the week. A across the board for me for the defense.
I am a greedy bastard when it comes down to defense. And you can ask any one of my showmates. I am a greedy bastard when it comes down to defense. I'm going to give the defense a B+. I was happy with some of the secondary. I was happy with some of the coverages. I was not happy with the sack producing. And I was not happy with the adjustments to scheme when the Cowboys scheme to double team Jordan Davis and eliminate Jordan Davis from that Eagles defensive game plan. So you started to see that run game open up, which I felt like was big trouble for the Eagles defense. The Eagles defense have not given up a 65-yard runner the whole season, and they did tonight. So, that's not good enough for me. B+ for me.
They did it in the third quarter, might I add. It wasn't the first half. I think they had them to like 8 yards, and then it was after that. Then it all came the second half again. So here I'm looking at it. If we're putting this grade together, and I'm thinking like, all right, if I subtract the fact that we lost Gardner Johnson for a big portion of it, and you take out the fact that I think part of the third quarter struggles came from the scheming, not so much the players. I'll give them an A, but maybe an A- because of like Joe Marks just said, it would be this O line. They should have been able to get a sack against Cooper Rush. That's not a sack in the whole game. I mean, yes, we had 3 turnovers. That was huge, but I just don't feel like they pressured Cooper Rush enough. Until the end, and I think more of that pressure came on the timeline was shrinking for him, and he was forcing square pegs into a round hole type situation, and losing that battle against a good defense. But overall, they are a good defense, and let's just hope that health continues to be on their side. I'm sure they're going to do an X-ray of Gardner Johnson tonight or tomorrow to make sure nothing's broken, nothing's fractured. But also, don't forget Lane Johnson's out. He was pulled out of the game due to a concussion. And we have to worry about Landon Dickerson again. We all know coming into this, he was kind of a crapshoot with the injury situation. And again, he had to leave a game. So at one point, you had Jack Driscoll at right tackle, where Micah Parsons was feasting, and DeMarcus Lawrence was feasting. And then on top of it, you had, I guess it was who did they put in for
Opeta.
Oh, Opeta was the other one. Yeah, so you had Opeta. So I mean, and they still did at the end. They held it up. They got the run. It's like they forgot how to do something for a minute. Like they had a brain. I call it a third quarter brain fart. They forgot how to run the ball in the third quarter. Like, how does this work again? Dallas was bringing the pressure. Dallas was not giving the defense enough time to get in and off the field. to let them get blows. Um,
But also, if Jack Driscoll's getting blown up by Micah Parsons, and there's a good reason for that, you have to put like someone like Stoll over there to help him out, double team him,
well, I think that's
because
one thing that this team is missing is a good running back who can block.
yeah,
And that goes back to my need for a big back again, who adds almost like adding an extra lineman. Um, Let me go to some of the comments here. Mike saying the Eagles need another defensive end. Um, I don't know about today. They need like they wouldn't hurt to have another one for the rotation, but Hassan Reddick, man, he had another couple big plays today. He's bringing a lot of pressure on the edge. He's definitely a turnaround since we saw for the first game or two in the season. Um, Eagles should go get Robert Quinn. Um, yeah, I don't know about that, but we'll find. I'm sure their Sweat is not cutting it. Sweat streaky. I'll give him that. I don't know if he's not cutting it, but he's streaky. Freddie Burns has player of the game, Cooper Rush. With all
well,
his
he
yeah,
was three
yeah,
picks.
he our best passer out there, right? They were feasting with Lane Johnson, and they were feasting with Lane Johnson in there. I don't know, they weren't. They were keeping. There was one time somebody got past Lane, but there no sack occurred, so Lane was keeping Demarcus Lawrence and Mika Parsons at bay, Mike. So I don't know if you missed that, but it was there. Um, and Demarcus Big Mouth Lawrence even play I guess I mean did Demarcus he did, and he only showed one a little bit barely when Lane wasn't in there. So guys, real quick, I want to remind you that this is brought to you by phillysportstrips.com. Check them out. They had another great tailgate tonight. I saw some video of it, talked to them earlier. They had a bunch of people out at the Navy Yard at the Gatehouse. Good old time, bands, food, entertainment, you name it. What a cheap, and it's also a place to park, so it's worth its weight in gold right there. It's 10 minutes from the stadium, and great food. And don't forget, they have a great lineup coming up. The next big trip is to Houston on November 3rd for Thursday Night Football, which could be interesting depending on how even the Phillies play. We'll get to that during the week as well. So, turning point of the game, Joey Marks, what do you got for me?
Turning point of the game has to be that drive in the fourth quarter with Hurts taking him down for a touchdown, because in that circumstance, if they get a field goal, and this is only a 6-point game, the Cowboys still have a lot of life left, especially with a lot of time left, and that's still where this could go sideways. So my play of the game is that touchdown. I believe it was at Devontae. In the fourth quarter. That is my play of the game.
Matty B.
So I want to go. My turning point in the game is the Cowboy drive in the third quarter, where they sucked up just about every minute of the quarter, and then ended with their own touchdown drive to make it 20-10. Because that turned it from a laugher that it was supposed to be into an actual football game. So that's my turning point of the game, is that the fact that the Eagles allowed the Cowboys to come back into this game and make it a game.
And I guess it would be so. You got two turning points because they turned back around in their favor. My biggest turning point, I felt like kind of the locked up the game for the Eagles was right before that touchdown. It was the AJ Brown reception. I think it was for like what 15 to 20 yards. Put them in scoring position. At that point, I think it was all elementary for them to get for a touchdown at that point. And I think that's when you saw Dallas pressing, and after that, and allow the defense to shine because they're forcing Cooper Rush now down 2 scores to pass the ball, which, let's be honest, against the Philadelphia Eagles, this is just not going to work out in his favor. Matty B, who is your player of the game?
I'm going to go AJ Brown. He's proving himself week after week, play after play, game after game, as being that X factor that we sorely missed since T.O. ran himself out of town back in 05. And being that type of wide receiver, you can carry a team. And he does it every week. He seems to come up in that big moment, as you mentioned, that big play, that 20-yard play. It's just, a little bit of his body of work. AJ Brown.
I'm going to go. My player of the game is going to be C.J. Gardner Johnson, and one of the reasons why is because I'm a firm believer that when you have turnovers as a defense, you're taking points off the board, regardless of where that offense is on the field. You're taking points off the board, and C.J. Gardner Johnson had one really good pick in the first half, and then got hurt, came back with one arm, got another pivotal interception to, in my mind, kind of seal the deal. Especially if when that led to the final touchdown and the nail in the coffin for the Dallas Cowboys tonight. So C.J. Gardner Johnson.
Um, I CJ is the easy pick, and since you picked him, I will take somebody else. I'm gonna go with Kazir White. Kazir White in open space, he had kept a lot of plays that could have been become a lot more yardage. He shut down. He had 5 tackles, 3 assists for the night. The only other person who had more assists, I think, than him was T.J. Edwards. Everybody else had 5 tackles. But he is every week just kind of the unsung hero of this defense. He is locking that middle down, which we take so for granted at this point, almost like we forget what we were dealing with from linebacker standpoints before this year and before this decade. You know what I'm saying? So I think him just going in night after night, being the type of athlete that he is, locking down that area, doing what he does, is kind of just a little bit of an unsung hero. So since you took Gardner Johnson, I'll take Kazir White as well.
And there's something to be said too, because Collinsworth said that as well, about the fact that Kaiser White is playing so well that you're kind of forgetting about Nakobe Dean. He's not able to get on the field because of how well Kaiser White's playing. So
Let him learn.
yeah.
Let him learn. I'm okay about not rushing him on the field. It's not like he was a first round pick and we're all getting upset because
Mm-hmm.
he's not getting his time on the field. He's a third round pick for now, and then let him learn.
Mm-hmm.
Matty B didn't like that answer.
No, I didn't, because you guys are such Howie apologetics. It's disgusting. Then draft night, I was with you, both of you, that night, and it was like he's a first round talent that Howie plucked out of the third round. Now he can't get on the goddamn field, but now it's okay. We're just gonna let him learn. Man, come on, put the Kool-Aid down, boys, and step away.
Well, wait. He's a third round pick. Listen, I said yes. He was first round
Material.
talent when that's what the big guys said. They got him in the third round, and that's why I'm not upset. If we got him in the first round, I'd probably be more upset that he wasn't making it. But the fact that we were able to get him in the third round, I'm okay at this point. Do you need to rush him in there?
No, not at all. And for the fact that we're not paying him the first round money, it's a wait. And Kaiser White, let's be clear, he's only on a 1-year deal. This is a kid that in Nakobe Dean had some injury issues, had some question marks. That's why he dropped to the third round. So it's not drinking the Kool-Aid, it's being cautious for once. It's actually playing the smart game versus the let's just rush this kid in and see.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Does he give you the script every night, or you guys got to call in advance for it?
Oh no. He just slips us the money under the door and slides the paper with it. One other key moment, which could have been a big problem. But I know it's going to kind of weird to praise somebody for this because it was his fault with Jason Kelsey. That snapback got kind of, flubbed. He kind of sent it out early, bounced off Jalen. I give him credit because he was smart enough to know that something wasn't right and be able to turn around. And that just, I know it's like weird. I'm always praising Jason Kelsey, which is like seems like the easiest thing to do. But even in his mistakes, we praise him. Because I think anybody else just like that ball's flopping around. And if you're lucky, if Jalen Hurts falls on it or a running back in the backfield, he was able to get back there and keep that from giving Dallas some good field position. That would have been a lot different. So that's why I give Jason Kelsey a little love too. I mean, I can make him player of the game for that reason, but you can make him player of the game almost any other game. But guys, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. I'll remind you, a little flux with the EOP and the Painted Lines this week, with the Phillies entering the NLCS, which is just, I'm still kind of shocked I'm saying it some days. But as you can see, there's still plenty of material. The Clear the Ice Flyers game or Flyers post game show will be on hiatus this week. Maybe we might try to squeeze one in. It's just there's a lot of things going on with the Flyers or the Philly schedule being dropped there Tuesday, Wednesday, then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's going to be your Sixers post game shows, of course. Matty B show, he talks Philly sports with Matty B usually Tuesday nights. It will be tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. And my show EOP is not going to be at 8:30. It'll be after the Fightins final, after the Wednesday night game. So we're looking around. I put 9:30 on the schedule, but anywhere between 9:15 and 9:30 most likely, depending on how long the game goes, barring any 19 or 18 inning type games. Thank God. Hopefully no. Philly Press Box Radio is also shifted to Thursday at 6 at this point. And the the launch of the old school show is also being postponed at this point because of Friday's game. So everything else is about the same. I usually don't go through it that much, but there is some changes. But we got you covered from soup to nuts. We will have plenty of talk about the Flyers, sure, especially them being 2-0. Plenty to talk about the Sixers with them with the tip off of the season for them, and of course your NLCS bound Phillies. And the one thing is, we'll talk about this Eagles game. We'll talk about hopefully they get some time to heal in the with the bye week ahead of them, and maybe make some changes on the offense where we can start seeing some points in the second half. But
Do we think, because the bye week's coming up, is there a trade deadline's what, week 8, week 9?
November 2nd, I think.
November 2nd. So
Yeah.
Something like that.
that's
Early
fast
November.
That's fast approaching.
it's literally the day before. It's the day after our Houston game because our game's on Thursday that week.
Yep.
So so we have 2 more games. We got the Steelers
Yep.
game after this, and then you have the Houston game. So you have 2 more games before the deadline comes. And listen, normally in football we don't even really care about trade deadlines, but over the last few years, that's changed a little bit throughout the league. We've seen some big names move with teams who are just not good. But that'll be something we'll keep you guys posted with. We have a lot to cover, a lot to talk about this week. I'm excited, and part of me is a little. I don't know. It sounds weird to say, but a little glad we're on a bye week, just to help us. It was. I said I was on Deborah Sports this morning with Mike and Pat, and I said I didn't know what to wear this morning. Do I put my Philly stuff on? Do I put my Eagles stuff on? And the thing that sucks about Phillies and Eagles is if you wear it together, you look like a gosh darn Christmas tree. So it's like, all right, whatever. But my point is, it's a good problem to have. I mean, 3 out of the 4 teams right now have not just playoff aspirations, but championship aspirations. Yeah, you got your faces, Matt. Come on.
I forgot the Sixers. I was thinking Flyers. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no, yes, the Sixers. As well as the Flyers are having off to a good start. So,
that's
like I said earlier, I don't know who sold their soul. I said on the pregame show with Shane and Dives, like I don't know who or whom or how many Philly fans sold their soul for this year, but we're just not used to this. So, buckle up, boys. It's going to be a fun time over the next coming year.
Well, I didn't sell my soul, but I sold my sight, I guess. All right, go ahead.
Hey, whatever it is, man, it's going to be a fun time. And guys, on behalf of Matty B, Joey Marks, and myself, we will see you guys this next week. And thank you for joining in this whole time for the Eagles pre, half, and post game show. We are out of here.